All right. First, I want to ask about people's activities. So how's it going out there? Maureen,
Yep, it's going good.
okay,
Helped Megan stage her condo that goes live. I did that yesterday.
awesome.
Um, I am meeting with someone in my neighborhood tomorrow who works for a mortgage company, and we're doing a big contest, a big pumpkin decorating contest in our neighborhood
Mhm,
that's co-branding both of us as kind of the people in our neighborhood to go to, and we're doing
mhm.
a big video for that tomorrow.
Awesome.
Have all the prizes and everything ready. And then on Friday, I'm going to be touring some model homes in Minnetrista and Waconia and Victoria.
That's wonderful. Got some big wins there. Great job, Maureen.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then I see Terry and Christine. Terry, how are you doing? I don't know if she's muted. Okay, Christine, good morning. Is anybody else hearing me? Or is it just you, Maureen? You're the only one that hears me.
I hear. Hey Trey, I hear you, buddy.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you, Bruce. You're down there below. How you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Any wins? Anything going on with your activities? How are you doing out there?
Well, I did an open house last Saturday, and it was a little bit slower, but I think it went well. There was the house had an offer on it basically the night before I did the open, which that's not a problem, right?
Mhm.
I think I had 7 people through. Only one of them said that they weren't signed with an agent currently. And I think I built some rapport with them. I sent them an email thus far. And, I guess that's my best opportunity that came out of it.
Okay,
They said,
great.
they said they're kind of working with someone, but they're not signed up with someone yet.
Okay. All
And
right. Well,
I told them
still
I'd be
just a great
happy to work with
opportunity.
them. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I said it's still a great opportunity.
Yep.
And Bruce, I want to
Maybe,
commend you because it seems like you're the name that comes up when people want to need someone to do open houses. So I want to
great.
commend you on now everybody, whenever something says open house, they're like, have you checked with Bruce?
Yeah.
So
I like that. I would be asking for one for this weekend, but I'm out of town this weekend in Colorado. I'm taking my daughter out to visit my son who's out there for a quick weekend trip.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
I don't know. Did you see my Facebook post on the open house by chance?
Not yet, no.
I finally got off the dime and posted that I was doing the open house and a photo of it and whatnot. And I did get a few comments and a few calls from a few people. And I guess most of them were within my family that already kind of knew that I was that I'm a realtor. But I'm trying to get the buzz out there.
Yeah, but they're seeing you work. It's a different of you talking about it than them
Yep.
seeing it. And now they're
Yep.
seeing you. So it really connects more with them so that if they hear somebody talking about real estate, they're going to think of you and bring your name
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into it because, we have team meeting at 11 o'clock. And so I want to just get through. So unfortunately, our instructor couldn't make it today. So I'm going to be filling in for her, for Beth. And this is going to be about find and show homes, working with buyers, which a lot of you already do. And if you want to find this material, if you go to the Ignite materials on KW Connect and just go Ignite, then you can definitely see who's writing on my page.
I think I accidentally am, and I'm trying to stop doing it.
Bruce.
I apologize. I'm
You're
just
like
highlighting some important.
You're like a kid with a crown right now. I feel like you're.
Okay, someone put Bruce in the corner. He's in trouble with the instructor. Put him in the
Oh,
corner.
hey, I will tell you this. The other night when I was playing cards the other night with my group, I changed my name to MN Realtor. And one of my buddies said right away, "Oh, he's not an undercover agent."
See, it worked.
He's in he is in commercial real estate.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, Bruce. Put the marker and the crown down right now, please.
I'm trying to get out of I don't know why I'm in edit, but
Okay, well, you're the kid in the classroom that has a crown of marker that's writing on the walls right now. So, all right,
I may have to leave the meeting and come back in. I can't seem to get out of that.
it's okay. As long as it just we're fine with your marks. You made it colorful and creative.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
But yeah, if you go to KW Connect, then you can go to Ignite and find and show homes, and you'll see the materials there. If you also want to go through it, yourself, but I'll have it on the screen. All right, so the journey. I just wanted to let you know statistics because this is very important to know how buyers work and how do they find homes. So, I mean, a buyer consultation to offer the most exciting, rewarding part of working with buyers. Finding the right home as quickly as possible is a win for the buyer and a win for you because, you know, as quick as you can, the quick that you can get to closing and quick you can move on to another buyer. So everybody has to understand that, buyers have a lot of different motivations. It could be speed, it could be timing, it could be price, but when a buyer is in the market for looking for homes and they're ready, they want to find a home. Okay. So I know sometimes we get a buyer that is, you feel like, oh, they're just lingering or they're taking their time. It's not they're taking their time. It's, are we finding the right homes quickly for them? So that means that if you're giving them one home and think that they're supposed to jump on that, and if they don't like it, then they're going to take their time to find the right home. But our job is to find something that they want to purchase as quickly as possible. Okay. So I want to make sure that everybody understands it's not always the buyer is slow. It's what are we doing to speed up the process for the buying? Because we are putting them through the buying process. And the buying process is guided through us, not through the buyer. So how quickly we send them houses, how quickly we set up appointments, how quickly we educate them is how quickly they will go through the process. So I just want everybody to make sure they understand that because a lot of times I hear agents blame the buyer for how slow or what they can't find. And so you got to sometimes look at yourself and saying, am I providing the best service for them to find the right house as quickly as possible is the question to yourself. Okay. So I just want to go over some NAR statistics. So the typical home buyer searched for 10 weeks and viewed 10 homes. That's what a typical home buyer does. So if you have a buyer and you expect them to find a home the first time you go out, showing them 3 homes, that may not be the case. And it's not because they're not a motivated buyer. Okay. A lot of times, again, if you know the statistics at average, it could take 10 weeks, it could take 10 homes to find that right house for them. It could take quicker. Again, who guides them through the process? Who controls the process of that? Them or us?
We do.
We do. So as quickly as I can find them those 10 right homes, as quickly as I can get them out to look at it, that's as quickly as they will find that property. Now, 92% of buyers use the internet in their home search process. Now, this is pretty high and it's probably getting higher with the virtual world today. A lot of times, buyers, just like people do with malls and shopping for clothes, they window shop. They will go on to Trulia, Zillow, or whatever search engine or real estate site that they can get to, and they'll start window shopping. They'll start looking at homes, and they'll look at homes even before they contact or think about calling an agent. So their process starts online. It starts online. And 50% of the buyers use a mobile website or application in their home search. So if 50% is using applications or mobile websites, that means your app or your link branded to them of your website should be in their hands. Okay, as quick as possible. I know right now what we tend to do is we set them up on MLS alerts and just send out MLS alerts. And they're just waiting for your MLS alert. Now, think of this, if they have an app or they even have a link to your website, something that they can search instead of going to Zillow. So that's the difference. If you just set them up on an MLS auto alert to receive houses in their criteria, then they're just waiting for houses to be sent to them. But they can't really search it. So in the meantime, while they're waiting for you, what are they doing? They're usually on other websites searching for homes. That's why sometimes you'll get an email from a buyer saying, hey, Trey, I found this home on Zillow. Can we take a look at it? So I want you to keep that in mind of getting communication to them if it's your website, if it's your app, so they can still search and it's still branded and linked to you, especially if you don't have a buyer's agreement. Because I'm going to tell you the truth, this has happened to a lot of agents where you set them on an auto alert, they're getting listings, and in the meantime, they go search on another website for homes because they want to look at homes outside of what you're sending. And that website is linked or branded to someone else. Or even Zillow has 3 agents every single time they're looking at homes, right? And it's so easy for them to say, hey, I want to know more information about this home. So let me click and ask about it. And guess what they get? What do you think they get when they want more information about a home on a website? What happens after that? Does anybody know?
They get sent to an agent.
Sent to an agent. That agent calls them, talks to them. And even if they say, hey, well, this another agent is sending me, oh, it's okay. Just keep searching here. I'll see you some properties too. So a lot of times when we don't hear back from buyers that we don't have under agreement, or we don't hear back from buyers that you probably spoke to or sent information to, it's most likely because they went ahead and started working with another agent. So I want you to make sure that you're setting yourself up, that you're always there connected to that buyer no matter what. And if you drive them to your website to search, if you let them use your app to search, if you say, hey, expectations, if you go on Zillow and you see a property you like, please send it to me. And just so you know, Zillow connects you to outside agents all the time. So if you want more information, please give me a call and I will look up the information for you. See the expectation I just set up? Okay. So until you set up those expectations, they're going to be window shopping, doing whatever, not knowing that another agent can reach out to them. All right. So 98% of buyers who use an agent viewed real estate agents as a useful information source. Thanks, Bruce. Useful information source. So again, it's not about just finding them homes. It's also you being a resource and educating them through the process. That's how they make their decisions. And you have to be the resource in order for them to make the right decision for them. Okay. More than 50% of buyers reported finding the right home was the most difficult step in the home buying process. You probably know that right now. In the low inventory market that we're in, where there's multiple offers, I know probably Terry that's experienced it. Christine, I know you experience it. But just getting a house, even when you're making a strong offer, sometimes has been challenging in this market. So imagine that they found their house, they're making an offer on it, and they still don't get it. How frustrating can that be for a buyer? It's difficult in today's market. So 24% of recent home buyers reported the primary reason for their recent home purchase was a desire to own a home. So we have a lot of renters out there still, okay? There's a lot of renters that 2 things, either they feel or believe they can't afford or qualify to buy a home. Well, 3 things, they don't know they can qualify and buy a home, okay? Or they don't know the benefits of owning a home. That's why home ownership is always been called the American dream. It's been the main goal of human beings is to own or have their own home. And a lot of times it's 24% because either they're not ready, they're not educated enough, or they don't believe they can. So as agents, we're there to educate and give them the resource to identify where they're at in their home buying process. It's okay if someone says, I'm not ready right now, because they may not be. Doesn't mean they will never be buyers. So remember that even if someone says right now I'm not ready or they don't qualify, that's still someone to keep in your database and keep touching and working with, because eventually they will become a buyer. And the question is do that you want them to use you or someone else? So 9% purchase a new home due to a job related relocation or move. Now, I know Minnesota has a lot of big companies, Fortune 500 companies, corporate companies here. I know a lot of people are moving from Target. I mean, you have a lot of relocations that are coming into Minnesota. So don't forget that. And I always use this before. Sometimes I will call companies and ask them, do you have a relocation agent um, list? Especially the big ones, because what they do is that they will have a list of agents that if someone's relocating to that area, they will connect them to an agent that's on their relocation list. Simple as that. So if you haven't, I just gave you a golden nugget that you should be writing down, that you should be looking up the major companies in Minnesota, in this area, calling them and asking them, hey, do you have a relocation program for your employees? If so, how can I be on that agent list? Does everybody hear that?
Yep.
Is
Yep.
there? Okay. So there's a good phone calls to make so that you can be connected to be a relocation agent for a company. And it's all just a phone call. You just call, ask for human resources, and ask that question.
And Trey, just one other question too to that is, isn't there like a designation that you can get for relocating? Like credentialing?
Yes, and I always say this, and I'm gonna be so when I first started, I want to get designations. I got to get the SFR, ABR designations, because kind of like you feel like a doctor where you have MD. And when I went and I got these designations, and then I went and started talking to my clients, they didn't know what these designations are. They
Mhm.
So to me, the designations was kind of making me feel good, but the only people that knew about the designations was other agents.
Right.
No one knew what GRI, SBR, I can say I'm certified at this. So the thing is that with relocation companies, they don't know that designation.
Mhm.
It's an agent NAR real estate designations. Those are things that shows that you're certified mostly to other agents, not necessarily to the public. So if you called right now and you told a company, hey, I have this relocation designation, they'll be like, okay. But if you say, hey, I want to be more experienced and I work with buyers and I can help your employees with their relocation, you see, there's not really a difference.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. Yes.
All right.
I just want to know about it if it's like worth it. So you just answered my question. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen business cards, from people leave it. And I mean, they have like eight, like G, SPR, ABR, and I was like, wow. And like they had like a whole list on their business cards of all their designations and everything. And the thing about it is, if a public person took that card, they'll look at it and be like, they just look at the name.
Mhm.
They don't know what these designations or anything for, because what matters to them is your service.
Right.
I went up against agents as a brand new agent that had 20 designations, that had everything, and I still got that client, because what it's about is them trusting you and your service. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. 8% bought for the desire to be in a better area or a change in family situation. So this is the thing. As a new agent, when I started out, whenever there was a wedding show or a wedding event, or at the expo, where they have those conventions for weddings and things like that, guess where I was appearing at? Because what usually is the next step after people get married?
Buy a house. And
Buy
they
a
have
house.
kids.
Have kids, but buy a house. Okay. So, and in fact, at one of the wedding venues where people got married at and do the reception, I actually have business cards there and, and promotion there, okay, for that next step. Because there's two things that changes people about their next step of homes. It's getting married, something happened to where they need bigger space, and it's having kids, and then their kids leaving. So the family is an important change of people's decision on their home buying or home selling. So again, if you see someone on social media and they just got married, congratulate them. Say, hey, that's great, congratulations. So when's the goal to buy the new home? Or see someone and they got, having a baby. Oh, that's great. That's great. So now it's time for a bigger home, right? For the family, you know. So remember that a lot of percentage of people make their decision on their home process based on the changes in their family. Okay. Now, if you have kids and you there's a difference of someone that's having a baby and a small kid, but when they start getting into elementary school, high school, it seems like it's very, people really focus on the high school. But what do you see as the child gets older? What gets important to the parents?
I would say parents want to live close to the schools and activities. So sometimes you get people not wanting to move as much if they found the right location and the right district and the right place, and they don't want to move until their kids start driving and they're in a position to be more mobile, I guess.
Correct. And so they also make moves based on areas and schools as parents. You know, parents usually think education is very important. I want to make sure that my child has the best education possible. And so I remember when I first moved here, all I kept hearing is from buyers is we got to be in the Minnetonka school district. We got to be in the Minnetonka school district. We have to be in the Minnetonka, that's all I kept hearing in this area. We got to be in the Wayzata school district, so even here is predominant where people are choosing where they live. I think, to be honest, that's probably why they did open enrollment for a lot of these districts because there was such a demand that in fact, when we first moved here and we lived in Eden Prairie, I used to drive kids to Minnetonka schools from Prairie just because of the school district in the area. And so when you're talking to a family and you're asking them what's important to them, a lot of times they're going to talk about areas and schools. Okay. Now they're going to ask you also about areas and schools. So, for instance, if I was to ask one of you, well, what school district or what do you think about this school? What would you say?
Which particular district or school you're talking about?
Okay, so if I say, hey, what do you think about the Wayzata, the Wayzata Elementary School? I'm just giving it out there. What do you think about that school, Bruce?
My understanding is they have a great coloring program.
All right. So no,
Oh, yeah.
you should say, hey, that's a great question. Here's
Yeah.
the resource that you can look up the school ratings and reviews in order to make that decision.
I like that. What is that resource?
Oh, there's a lot of, if you just click on schools and reviews, you'll see a lot of different websites that they
Okay.
can go to. So this is the thing. Do not give your opinion about a school district in a school.
Right.
As agents, we want to, even if you know it's exceptional, even if you know, like everybody's Minnetonka High School, even if you know, it's better to say, hey, that's a great question. There's a lot of online resources that you can look up schools, reviews, and ratings. Because this is the thing, and this has happened to an agent. An agent gave a recommendation for a school for someone that was relocating, said this was a great elementary school, okay? And you should, definitely your kid would enjoy it. And that same, I think a month later, there was a fight that broke out in the school and their child got injured. Guess who was mad? At who? The parents were mad at the agent because based on that agent's, how can I say it, experience, opinionated thought, they thought that their child was going to a great school, not seeing the ratings and not seeing the reviews that there's been problems in the school, there's been bullying in the school, that a lot of kids were not getting the right resource or support in the school, and the reviews of the school was actually a 3.
Can I add something, Trey?
Yes.
So Tanya, she has that website list reports that we can use.
Mhm.
And say you're showing a house like in the Minnetonka area, it actually says on the list report about the school districts and it gives it a rating. So list reports, Bruce, is a good resource to use
Mhm.
for that.
Correct.
Thank you.
So as long as it's not coming directly from you, because that is your opinion, let them find the facts, okay? And I'm gonna tell you that they were trying to sue that agent. So just want to put that out there. Okay. All right. Let me get. Oh, Bruce, you have your marker all every page now. That's okay. So finding out.
I apologize. I tried doing it on my phone because my computer was fighting me, and somehow on my phone I ended up doing that. So I just highlighted the important.
So in order to have a successful home search process, focus on these 3 steps. We talked about finding the right homes, okay? Show qualified homes. We're going to get into this and bring your buyers to a decision, meaning educate them and give them the resource to make that decision for them, for themselves, not you making the decision, okay? So 92% of buyers use the internet. We already talked about this. So some of the stuff we kind of went through. I want to go to this. Qualified homes found online. Okay. So you know your buyers are searching online. They're excited. Number 1, check the MLS to make sure the home is still available. This is the thing. I get this. I was getting this a lot from buyers. They will find a home on Zillow, send it to me, say, "Hey, Trey, can we go look at this? I'm excited." And I always look it up because majority of the time it was already under inspection, under contract, or it wasn't even available anymore. I had someone that sent me a property that said it was active online. I looked it up and it sold like 3 months ago. Okay. So make sure that whenever a buyer is talking about a property, if they drive by it, see it online, look it up first. Before you say, okay, yeah, this would be great. Let's schedule. Don't make that mistake. Say, hey, okay, let me look it up and see if it's still available. Make sure that it is still available because a lot of information online may not necessarily be updated. Okay. Compare the features of the home with your buyer's wish list and 5 must-have. I know that we don't think about 5 must-haves, but you should. If you want to narrow down not showing your buyer 10 and 20 homes, and you want to narrow it down to 5 or 3 homes, then you have to have these specific questions to ask them. Okay. You should be asking them two different questions. It could be the 5 must-haves or what is it that you really want in a home. The second one is what is a deal breaker or you don't want in a home. I had to start asking that because the first thing is people will tell you exactly what they like, what they're looking for. You can have a whole list of that. And then when you get to that house that matches what they like, what do you think they first do when they get in the house? When they're viewing and touring a house, what do you think that they do or focus on?
You're focused on how updated or not updated it is right when they walk in the door.
Correct. They tend to find or look for what is wrong or they don't like in the house. So I've done this a couple of times where I have a buyer and it meets all their checklists of what they like, and they walk in and they're looking and they're like, oh, well, I don't like this. Oh, look at that. And I'm like, oh, Terry, you probably experienced this if you're listening. And we're like,
Totally.
this is all you said you wanted. It has everything. And they're just going off of what they don't like about it. So up front, I always now ask, okay, what is the most important things, the 5 things that you're looking for in a home? Now, what is the things that are deal breakers? Because guess what? If I find a home and I look at it and it has your deal breakers, I'm going to let you know that, hey, this is great. And it has no walk-in closet in the master. You see the thing? That's the difference, everybody. If you want to
Trey?
start, yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and what I found too is that when they send me things that they're going, oh, we really want to see this one, and I look through and I go, okay, so remember that last house, it didn't have a master suite, and that was really a negative for you. This one doesn't either. Do you want to still see it? I mean, it's amazing.
It is. And that's what it's saying in this paragraph. If you read below, it's giving you kind of a script. And similar to what Terry just said, is you told me that blank feature was one of your 5 must-haves. 2 of the homes you sent me do not have this walk-in closet. Is that something you're willing to give up? Remember, you wanted this. And we got to ask these questions because, again, it's easy for them to think of the things they like, but they have dislikes, they have deal breakers. And sometimes they're so excited that they overlook what they just said they didn't like in a home. And I hear it all the time. So if you want to narrow down their home search and find properties, you have to ask them about their likes and dislikes. Okay? They will give it to you. If you ask them, what are the 5 things that you dislike in a home? I think every single one of you will sit there and tell me what you dislike in a home. Okay? And I'd rather you find it up front than to be at a property showing them and then they're telling you right there at that property. By saying, I don't like this, I don't like it, I don't like this, this is not going to work for me. So I don't want y'all to make that same mistake. So making a showing appointment. So leverage the trip by checking to see if the other comparable homes your buyer might want to see at the same time. So what I do is when they send me a home, if there's any home similar to that price range in that community, I will always say, hey, did you also see this one too? Because what will happen, here's another, I'm gonna give you all the rookie agent buyer mistakes. You're focused on that one property, right? Terry, you probably know this too. And so you're
Right.
driving to that property. They see the property down the corner. There's another house. What do you think the buyer will say? Right there on the spot.
Didn't you tell me about that, Trey?
Or, hey, look at that one. That's for sale too. Trey, can you look up? Can we see it since we're right here?
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you that even if they say, I like this house, Trey, I want to see it, I still look and see if there's anything around there that's for sale, similar price. And so I can say, hey, because guess what? What if they see the house and they didn't like it? How would you look if you say, hey, I know you didn't like this one, but guess what? I found one that's right around the corner. It's similar. It's a great price. I would love to show it to you right now. Now, how does that look to them as you as an agent? It makes you look better. Yeah, it makes you look more professional and more better. And the thing is that if you don't do that, what's going to happen is they're going to see that house that day, and guess what they're going to do the next day? They're going to send you the house that was around the corner the next day. Say, hey, Trey, we found this one. Can we go see this tomorrow? And you were just in the neighborhood that day. So what I'm saying is do your due diligence and leverage your time. If you don't want to be showing a buyer and driving around 7, 8 times to keep showing a buyer, make sure that you're finding whatever that fits their criteria, their must-haves and dislikes, and you're finding it in that area. Do it the same day. Find those 3 homes similar and do it that day, unless you want to go one home every day. And I don't think that would be good for your time to be showing someone one home every single day. Okay? Does everybody understand that?
Yeah,
I
Trey.
have a question for showings. Does everybody know how to use your showing time? And does everybody have access to their super app?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Because sometimes I will get calls at the last minute and people don't, wouldn't know how to schedule the showing, or they forgot that they need a super to access the lockbox. And it doesn't look good when you're at the house with your buyer and you can't open the lockbox. It has happened to me before, everybody. So I just want to make sure that if you're starting to work with buyers, be prepared. Make sure that you can show a property. In fact, that's why I always say go preview homes. It's not just to look at the house, but it's also to go in and go through a practice like you're showing a home. Practice being able to open that lockbox. You know how many times I get that thing stuck and it doesn't slide down, and I'm like, it's coming, hold on. And I'm trying to get the key out and it doesn't shoot down. That can happen. It happens to me. So practice, go to these homes for your home previews and practice like you have the buyer. Practice open a box where you can make it simple. Practice walking through the home, the way that you want to walk through the home with them, the things you want to say and pick out. That's why we want you to go and preview homes. Okay? Because I want you to make it feel like you're practicing and a buyer's right there next to you. And put yourself in the eyes of the buyer. What would you point out? What would you say? How would you describe these details? There's so many different models and details in a home. Do you really know how to describe it? Do you really know how to explain certain models, certain open floor plans, certain descriptions of homes? Do you see? That's why going to preview homes is very, very important, especially working with buyers.
Trey,
Yes.
Zoe Liston, who does a lot of the classes with the MLS and with MAR, she did a thing, you know how when you open up the MLS and the different windows will come up, to let us know about different things. She did a fantastic thing on the different styles of homes that I wish I would have seen right out of the gate when I was a new agent.
Awesome.
She goes through each style of home, and it's really good both for showing a home and especially for listing a home so you list it properly, because that's just bad and embarrassing when you don't know the styles.
That's
so
awesome.
That might be a good thing. Might be a good thing training wise to look up on the MLS. Zoe Liston.
Well, if you could find a link to one of her videos and post it on our Facebook Produce Club, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll try to look for that. Yeah, she's
awesome.
really great.
That's great. So I want to just, the reason why, we have materials on the screen, but what I want to do is I want to give you the real world time experience and information so that you're prepared and you know what to expect and how to work with a buyer. Okay. So this is the thing. You're going to have different types of buyers. You're going to have some that can be hard demanding. You can have some that's easygoing. You can have husband and wives. I mean, there was one time that I was at a property showing and the husband and wife, literally, I was watching them argue. And I just stepped back. Okay, let me just go in the next room because she liked this, he didn't like this, and they were just going back and forth.
Are you talking about me, Trey? Because it kind of sounds like something I do.
Well, Daniel, if you put yourself out there, no, but and so the thing is that you have different personalities and buyers. All of you are different from each other. All of your likes, all of your behaviors, everything is different. I mean, I had a buyer that cursed me out one time and hung up on me for no apparent reason towards me. And what I'm saying is you are working with individuals that are not like you. Remember that. Meaning, if you like this house, you might, oh, this is a great, we do this all the time. This is a great property. I know they're going to love it. Do not be disappointed if they don't. Or, hey, I know that this is the school you want. This is a great location. This is the area. Do not be disappointed if it's not for them. Because remember, it's their family, it's their lives. We are there to be the resource to help them find what best fits them. Okay? So I just want to put that out there. So be patient. I want you to write this word down for buyers. Patience. Be patient.
Trey, can I say something along those lines?
Yes.
The biggest thing is we all have to just keep in mind that we never want anything to come back to us and, well, you said blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
We present the options, present the pros and the cons as we see them. This is what I see. What do you think? And you
Correct.
let them come up with the final decision, because the decision cannot be ours, because it'll come back to bite us sometimes, and that's sad.
Correct.
So I had one thing too, is I had a first-time home buyer that I was working with, and he wanted to be an investor. And as like I started to get to know him better, I started like getting an idea that he didn't want to be an investor. So I like would provide, like I would tell him like, hey, like there is this other property. I know you're looking for multifamily, but I think you should check it out. It's a great price and it's like in your budget, and it has like a lot of good like turns in the house. Very unique property. So like let's just check it out, knowing that it's not like what you're asking for.
Mhm.
And I did that to kind of get a test of like what level like of property he was, how new he wanted his home to be. And he is now the happy owner of a single family home where he has roommates.
There you
So
go.
the multifamily property, he was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a lot of work. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's investing. And it's just something that he didn't understand. He thought he wanted that. And then like the conversation was, he's like, I don't think I'm ready to be a home buyer. And I'm like, no, you are. You're
Mhm.
qualified. You're ready. You might just not be ready for all the work. So let's try something else. But yeah, so
Exactly. Let the market help them make that decision. So if you see a property that may not be what they think they're looking for, suggest it to them, because this is the thing, buyers don't know what they don't know. Do you know how many buyers I get that they think they're going to be in a specific area and they end up living some other area based on price or based on the home they find? So buyers don't know what they don't know. And they're counting on us to be that resource for them in order for them to find that right house. So a lot of people move to this area thinking that, hey, this Minnetonka, I can find a property in there. I could probably find a townhouse for $150,000 or something like that. They don't know what they don't know. And that's why they count on us to give them that information, to educate them so they can find what's best fits them and open their mind. Okay. So prepare to show homes. I think by now a lot of you know how to show homes. And of course, you know that all the showing instructions are in MLS and showing time. Give notice, check with your buyer, make sure that they have everything ready. Here's another thing. If you're not, you should be having some type of consultation with them in this buying process. Okay. What is one of the things, in fact, I'm going to give y'all a quiz, not just one. What is two things, okay, that a buyer needs in order to make an offer?
They need pre-approval.
Approval.
Mm-hmm. So that's one. What else?
Earnest money.
Earnest money.
Mhm.
See, we all focus on, hey, we got to get that pre-approval. Do you have your pre-approval? Right? This is the thing. I had a situation where I was taking a buyer out. They got pre-approved. We were looking at homes, made an offer. It was accepted. And I says, okay, go ahead and submit your earnest money. They gave me a check, and then the next day they says, Trey, do me a favor. Can you tell the seller to hold off or y'all wait on the check because the funds are not in there yet? And I'm like, huh? They're like, it's not in there yet. We still have to transfer and the funds are not there. So can they hold now? If you know, we have a time period, right, to put the earnest money into escrow. Everybody should know that. Your buyer's calling you to tell you the money is not there. How do you feel at that point? And how do you feel making a call to the seller to tell them that the earnest money that should be there is not there? So this is the thing. I know that we focused on, hey, you got to get pre-approved. You got to be pre-approved. And when that contract's accepted, they also have to have the funds for that earnest money. And so I would suggest to upfront tell them, hey, there's two things you need, that pre-approval letter from your lender, and you have to make sure that you have earnest funds in order to put down on the property when we go under contract. A lot of us don't tell our buyers that, and we think they know that. Okay. Or we tell them when we go through the PA, the purchase agreement. Hey, by the way, you see this? This is the earnest money. You need $3,000, and we're telling them when we're filling out the purchase agreement. That happens a lot. I know that some of us have done that. Okay, so please, the earnest money is very, very important. In fact, you will be out of compliance if you don't have, no matter, even if they say it's you say it's their fault, you will be out of compliance as an agent and probably get dinged as an agent if that earnest money is not submitted on time. Does everybody understand that? Maureen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is it better to do, instead of having your client submit a check, is it better to always go with the trust funds and do it online?
That's only if, and this is the thing, some listing companies doesn't have a trust fund account.
Oh, okay.
I've
So
seen
you
it.
have to find out if it has it on the MLS first.
Correct.
Okay, so what procedure, if they don't have trust funds, what procedure do you want us using?
Well, then you have to get that check delivered to that listing company. Yes.
Okay,
That's
so
a big check.
Okay, all right.
I wish it was everybody had trust funds account. It makes it a lot easy for us to get the funds there on time. And that's the thing. If you're waiting until the purchase agreement is signed and then you're asking for, hey, don't forget about the earnest money, now it's like reactive and they're running around getting funds.
Is it better to mail that or deliver it in person?
Either one that gets there quick.
Okay.
Overnighted or delivered in person. But that's why it's important to have that conversation even when you're starting to show properties about the earnest money. Because what if they don't have it? Because that happened to me. And so I just want to make sure that that conversation should be had up front, just like the pre-approval. Okay? That determines if they're qualified, is if they have the earnest money funds and their pre-approval. So prepare and educate yourself about homes demographics, preview homes, learn about the communities, okay? I don't know if you do this, but I do this, and I want to just bring this up. In the MLS, when you are looking at listings, you can print out forms. When I do showings, and I'm gonna ask, how many people have the listings with you at showings for them?
I print out the MLS information, or I pull it up on my phone, because as you're walking around, they're going to say something like, what year was this house built again? How old is the furnace? And you need to go, and if you have that information on hand, you need to be able to answer it as you're walking through.
You can also print on, what was I gonna say? On the MLS, you can either print like one for you, or there's like a print option for your client. But also, so I usually bring that, and then I also bring the list report of the homes that I'm going to show them that day, because it also shows like the ratings on the school districts and nearby restaurants, and just kind of fun stuff for them to look at besides like the house.
Okay, so I always have a folder with me. In that folder, There's my printout of the properties we're going to see that day, their printout showing printout of the properties they're going to see that day. In the MLS, if you print out the showing, the showing listing, the best thing about it that I love is at the bottom it has notes. Okay, this is the key. Yes, they can ask you questions about the properties. If you have that page for them while they're walking through a home, and especially if they're going to see 3 or 5 homes, do you think they're going to remember every detail of 3 to 5 homes? If they have their printout, now they can walk around and take notes, say, oh, I don't like this, I do like this. And the best thing about it is when they're following me in the car, they have now the homes that we're going to in the direction that we're going. They can see, okay, we're going to this home next, and they're reviewing it on their way there, or they're talking about it in the car, okay? And so I always have those printouts for me, so I can go through the information, and for them, so they can see it themselves and they can write notes and everything for that property, each property that they go to. So that's just my suggestion. You can still do it on the phone, and maybe you could send it to them on their phone too. But they can't really take notes, but at least they have the details. But I just noticed
Trey.
that when I have that for them, they go through properties easily and they can remember things better. Yes.
One of the things too is having them on there. I think that's a great idea to write the notes, the highlights and the
Mhm.
lowlights of the home. And
Yep.
then after every home, once you've gone to multiple homes, you take the 2 sheets and go, if you were to buy today, which one would you buy out of these 2 homes? And then you take, and why would you not buy this one? Well, because it doesn't have this. Okay, let's take it and put it in the no pile. So then
Right.
they're not at the end of the day going, oh my gosh, which one did I like out of this? And you go to the next one and you
Mhm.
do the same thing. So you come out of those showings. If you were to buy today, which one would you buy?
Mhm.
And if that one isn't the home, then you take those and you go no to them.
Correct.
But you write down why they said no to each one of them, because if they bring it up again, and many times they will, you
Mhm.
can say, now, is this no longer an issue for you?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I forgot that had that.
Correct.
Yeah, people are funny.
And they don't remember stuff sometimes. I mean, if you're taking them to see 5 homes and at the end they're not taking notes, you think they're going to remember every detail of 5. Think about what they don't like in those. Okay. And so who's that? I hear somebody talking. So on here, is that me echoing? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, it's like you echoing.
Yeah, it's like
Trey.
you
echoing. Now it's echoing my voice too.
All right, let me see something. Is it still doing
Stop.
it? Okay. That was strange. I thought somebody was talking in the middle. I was like, what's going on? Bruce? No. All right. So there's a home checklist they provide here. And that's why I was telling you that through the MLS, if you do the showing listing printout, it will give you a whole list or information where they can fill out while they're going through it with the details of the home. I actually like it a lot. I use it all the time. Okay. Any questions about that? All right. So we're getting down to touring the home. I got some stories to tell y'all about touring homes. All right. Here it says, the first thing says, what does it say? Ring the doorbell even if the home has a lockbox or even if you know it's vacant. Okay. There could be another agent inside. There could be people inside. Even if you scheduled and you think, oh, well, they're not supposed to be here. Please go ahead and ring the doorbell, which I always do. Even if it's vacant, I don't care, occupied, if I have schedule, I ring the doorbell a couple of times. Even when I open, if it's occupied, I still say hello, and I see if anybody says anything. The reason why is because one time at a showing, went inside a home, it was quiet, nobody was there. We were going upstairs, and they opened the bathroom door, and the owner was on there on the toilet, going to the bathroom. That's why he didn't hear us. He was on the toilet, going to the bathroom when we opened the bathroom door. And so he didn't hear us coming through or open the door and coming inside. And so that was a very, very embarrassed moment that the owner was actually very mad about. He actually screamed and told us to get out. Now, how would you feel at that moment with your buyers? That not only did you walk into a person going to the bathroom, but then you get kicked out and screamed at. So my question is, do y'all want to experience any of that?
I'm good. No.
So again, as courtesy, ring the doorbell, open the door, and still call out, hello, and make sure that you're heard and make sure that you've checked that there's nobody there. Now, what I do now is I get there earlier. I get there, especially that first house, you should be able to get there early, okay, to make sure. But at the next houses, make sure that you do those steps, because this happens to agents. I can give you stories of so many agents with their funny stories of what they walked in on, especially in the bedroom, okay? So now record your own comments on your copy. So you have your copy. So if you hear them say, hey, I don't like this, write that down. Because like Terry says, you're also that reminder. You're that person that says, hey, remember you said you didn't like this about this property, okay? Have your buyers give description names to help them visualize the homes. So you're taking them to see 5 homes. They have it there. What I usually say is, what is the one thing that you loved about that home? They're like, oh, I love the kitchen. Great, so that's the kitchen that you love. And they're like, oh yeah, it is. Because that's how they identify things, okay? Or it could be the thing that they don't like. Oh, that's the house with the wallpaper, the ugly wallpaper, whatever they say. Make sure that they're identifying those houses to keep it in their memory, okay? So while touring the properties, this is very, very important, okay? I've made this mistake. I've walked in a house with with a buyer, and literally the carpet was like pink, okay? There was like wallpaper that was gray, blue, and red, like polka dots. And it was gold accents. And I walked in, I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's just strange. And guess what? The lady loved it. She's like, oh, this is great. And do you know that I kicked my butt for saying what I said and making that comment? Okay. So keep your thoughts. I don't care if you think it's, oh man, like Maureen, this is not updated whatsoever. This is, oh my gosh, the cabinets look like they're back from 1920s. Keep it inside. Keep it all inside. Do not make any comments of your preference, of your opinions, your likes, dislikes. Do not do that, because again, they are not you. You never know that if you say something negative about something and they loved it, it does not feel good, especially to them, okay? So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Help buyers identify their perfect home by pointing out benefits. So that's something that you can point out. So if you say, hey, it says here that there's a new roof, brand new roof. Oh, look, the water heater was just replaced. Oh, look, they just did the granite or got new stainless steel. It's an open floor plan. They have a deck. Those are things that you can point out, but guess what? You're pointing out based on factual information, okay? So I just want to make sure. So if you walk in there and you see an office and you're like, oh, this is great. It has an office and look at that light fixture. I love that light fixture. This is awesome. That is your opinion. Because they may look and says, oh, I don't really like the light fixture. You see what can happen? So I want to make sure that we are allowed to give resources and conversations as long as it's not opinionated based on your preference. Okay? Like Terry says, you can have the buyers rank the house, you can have them delete the house, you can have them go through and say, hey, which ones is your top 1 or top 2? Whatever way that you feel that you can help them better narrow their search and make decisions. Okay? So people sometimes rank them. People do the elimination process like Terry does. So whatever you can, but if you just say, okay, thank you for the showings and let me know what you think, and they drive off, and that's the last thing you say, let me know what you think, let me know which one you like, then guess what? They're going to be more confused and frustrated at what they look like or what, and trying to figure it out when you are the guide of that. You're the person that guides their thoughts, their decision making, what is best for them. You guide them through that process. Okay. So finally, ask the buyers, do you see yourself living here? That's a good question to always ask. Even when you're there, even at the end of the house, you know, instead of saying, hey, would you like to make an offer? We tend to say that a lot, right? Because we want to make that offer. Instead of saying that, ask them, do you see yourself living here? I know sometimes when they have kids, I even tell the kids, hey, kids, go pick out your bedroom, see which one you like. And the parents love that. The parents love when their kids are running upstairs and they're like, oh, this could be my bedroom and everything. So what you want to find out is, do they see themselves and their family enjoying this home? Is this the home that they see themselves creating memories and growing into? That is the real question. Does everybody understand that? I hope everyone understands that. All right. Home touring etiquette. I think everybody should know this, but just in case, thanks Bruce for the thumbs up. We're going to go through this because there is etiquette. The first thing is reading the instructions and going by the instructions. So that means that if they say, make sure you turn off all the lights, please make sure you turn off all the lights. If they say, remove your shoes, even if someone says, I don't want to, or whatever, you have to remove your shoes, everybody. Okay, that's the etiquette of showing, and that is being having courtesy to the agent and to that owner. So leave the house as you found it. Sometimes if you walk in the house and all the lights are on, then, and the instruction says to leave it that way, then leave it that way. Okay. A lot of times the most important thing, and I've ran into this a lot, and it's my pet peeve, is when an agent forgets to lock the door, including the front door. It's happened where they just forget. You can be leaving the house and you're talking to your buyer and you're all in your buyer, and then you just put the key in a lockbox and you forget to turn and lock the door. So remember, there is things that you have to do at a showing as an agent to make sure that the house is safe and protected. And there's things that you have to focus on at that property. Don't let your conversation with your buyers distract you from your etiquette and your purpose of being there as well. Okay, be sure to look and observe all touring notes. So sometimes people will put notes in the MLS, they'll put it on the wall, they'll have a sign. Right now with COVID, you'll see there's a lot of notes saying, please make sure that you use the hand sanitizer, that you have your mask on. This is the thing. Even in a vacant house, if the instruction says it's required masks, please make sure that they wear masks. Okay. I know that sometimes a buyer's like, hey, it's vacant. Why should, no, make sure that they still have their mask on. Those instructions is there for a reason, okay? Be mindful of pets, all right? I don't know how many times I've chased a cat down the street. That is not fun. The cats are the quickest ones, not the dogs. I'm good with the dogs. But there's times when I open that door and that cat zooms right by my legs and I'm running down the street chasing the cat. Bruce, you're unmiked, so I don't know if you did the cat chasing yet.
I wanted to see a video of you chasing a cat. That's what I wanted to see.
That has happened to me twice. One in an apartment building, in a condo building, where the cat zoomed out down the hall. But the other was at a single family house, okay? And that cat was waiting, because the cat can hear the door, and the cat was on that windowsill. And right when I opened that door, that cat jumped down and went right through our legs. And I'm like, no. And I'm sitting there trying to run, chasing this cat down. And the buyer's going the other way, trying to chase the cat. And that was the beginning of our showing, everybody. Okay? Very exciting, right? Be mindful. A lot of times the listings will say if there's a pet in the property. Okay? It'll say a dog. It'll say a cat. Hopefully they'll put those good notes in there because, again, you don't want to call the owner saying that you lost their pet. All right. So be mindful of that. Leave a card on the counter. Now, how many people have showed homes so far and left their business cards? Be honest.
I have, but I know that they were saying with COVID, some people require you to not leave your card.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't, but I've left them everywhere I can.
Well, I haven't heard that there's a requirement not to leave them.
There's
Or unless
sometimes
it's
I've been to
instructions.
houses where at the front door, when it says remove your shoes, use hand
Oh, yeah.
sanitizer, it
Yeah.
is said, please do not leave a business card. We will
Mhm.
contact you. I don't know if they just don't want something with somebody's hands on it left.
Yeah. That's fine. Instructions overpower. Remember, whatever that their instruction is for that showing, you go by that instructions. But if there is an instruction saying don't leave card, you should be leaving your business card there. Okay. That's just, our courtesy is for them to know that we were there, even if you're going through the lockbox, but we still leave the business card there. Okay. Make sure to secure and lock the house. We talked about notify a listing agent if you notice anything wrong. Okay. So for instance, if you notice a door was open when you entered, okay, or if you notice something off or damaged, while you're there, let the listing agent know that. Okay. Like me, I had to tell the listing agent that I spent 20 minutes with my buyer trying to find the cat. Pretty embarrassing, but I let the agent know. Why did I let the agent know? Because she needs to let other agents know that there's a cat that's going to try to get out. There's a cat. And guess what she did? She told the owners, hey, is there any way that you can put your cat in a crate during the showing? Because your cat has attempted to get out and has gotten out the house. You see how that works? So there's a reason why we want to make sure that not only are we taking instructions, but we're sharing feedback of the showings to other agents, especially when it has to do with that. Does anybody have questions on that?
Well, I will comment one thing. I just about left my sweet tea in the open house when I left to lock the door. And usually I want to have something to drink with me when I'm doing an open, because, you want to have, wet your whistle or whatever once in a while, right? When people aren't around or aren't in the house. And then I usually stash it somewhere, when I'm not drinking it. Well, then I was leaving and I almost left basically my trash in their cupboard. And yeah, I would have felt terrible about that.
I've done that too. I've put stuff, somewhere and then I forget it and have to go back and get it. So I've done that too. Here's a question. I'm gonna give you another one. So I was with a family showing a home. They had two boys, two twins. I think they were like 7 years old. One of them had to use the bathroom. Okay. And I was like, it was a vacant house. I'm like, sure, go ahead and use the bathroom, right? The kid used the bathroom. And I don't know, maybe I assumed he did number two. And literally the whole house after that smelled. Okay. There was a showing right after me.
Did you bake some cookies quick?
So guess what? I got a call from the agent saying, hey, did anybody use the bathroom?
Yeah. Hey, Trey, what did you do in there?
And the thing about it is that he put amount of toilet paper and stuffed it and clogged up the bathroom. That's why it smelled so much, because he actually clogged the toilet with whatever he went to the bathroom with and the toilet paper. It clogged up, and that's why it smelled so bad, because it was just sitting there. Now, I don't run after kids when they go to the bathroom and say, hey, let me check and make sure you didn't clog the toilet. It was, he used it, he came out, we were somewhere else, and then we left. But yes, I got a call from the agent, not happy that I let someone use the bathroom and clogged up the toilet, and it smelled the whole house for the next showings. See, I'm just putting all my stories out there now of things not to do. So the question
I had someone change their daughter's diaper on the living room floor. And you're sitting there and you're like, how do you tell them what are you doing? You can't do that. Yeah.
So this is what I usually do. I says, you know what? I understand you have to take care of your child's diaper. Can you do me a favor? Is there a way that you can go out to your car to do that? Okay. Because again, if it's a smell, now I don't know, I do have Lysol in my car, but some agents don't. If she's doing her diaper, and even if some of that pours out or there's a smell, it comes back onto you. Does everybody understand that? Okay. The property needs to be in the same condition as we walked in there. And if there's no smell and then you walk out and now there's a smell or something, you will get a call from that agent. And guess who had to go back to that property and unclog that toilet?
Number one in the number two business.
Me.
Yep.
And that was not fun whatsoever. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. I'm giving you all the do's and don'ts too of working with buyers. So now you go ahead, Maureen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know how you told us to go and practice using our super key? So the first time I ever did that, and I went with my husband and my kids to go open a house, and the super key can get kind of frustrating. You have to like push it on the bottom before it starts communicating with your phone, and you have to kind of learn that, right? Well, I think my husband just, tough love, right? He was like, when the kids were looking through the empty house, he's like, you're going to sit down right now and you're going to open and shut that over and over and over again until you know how to do it, right? So good, yes. But all of that information is recorded also. And I did open and shut it, open and shut it, open and shut it until I felt comfortable. Yeah. And then the agent was like, what happened? And I had to explain, I'm a new agent and I needed to get comfortable with a Supra box. So yeah.
See, you already got stories already, Maureen. Look at that.
That's why you're my go-to expert when I have problems and I reach out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, you're going to have in your career, you're going to have so many great, wonderful, funny stories to tell others and even your children. I'm telling you, as an agent, I've seen a lot. All right. So recognizing the buying signals as you tour the home. I always have my RAS open to the things they say. Okay. So, but everybody has buying signals. Okay. Unless they're playing poker and they have the poker face, they have buying signals. Some of the most common buying signals are listed. So body language, facial expression, okay? Asking about the seller's motivation, asking detailed questions of the property. They're looking at the seller's disclosure, asking about taxes, visualizing furniture placement. I love when they visualize their furniture, or like I said, I love when the kids are picking out their rooms, or I love when they talk about, hey, we can set this up like this. They do that. Comparing other homes, discussing new paint or carpet, sitting down in the house. Except for don't let the two twins jump up and down on a stage bed. It will fall apart, and guess who has to put it together? And that's the same kid that went to the bathroom. Let you know that. All right. Becoming protective, not wanting other buyers to see the property. I've had this before where a buyer was so excited of a property, wanted to make an offer, but knew that there was other showings. Literally asked me, is there any way that you can lose the key, or maybe is there anything that we can do that other buyers can't get into the house? Like, that was a serious question, to be honest. Buyer asked me that. Asking for a second showing or rising objections. So I'm not going to get into the details of all that, but it's kind of self-explanatory. Watch out for their buying signals. Watch out how they act, what they see, what they talk about. You will know if they really, really love a house. Okay. There's scripts, objection scripts. We love it, but we haven't seen enough properties yet. So in here, what I want you to do after the session is go through these scripts, because guess what? as human beings, we will always have objections. Not everything's perfect. And you have to learn how to handle those objections. Terry will tell you, she's an objection handler queen, that you have to learn how to handle their dislikes, the negative things, their negative thoughts, even limiting beliefs, whatever it is, you have to be able to handle that because it will come up. All right, it will come up. And it doesn't mean that they don't like it. It doesn't mean that, they don't want to buy it. It just means that they have questions, more questions and concerns. All right. And so I really want you to go through these scripts and make it your own, but be prepared because these are typical objections that does come up. Like for instance, we don't like the carpet, we don't like the paint. You know how many homes I go in and people are like, oh, I don't like this paint. It's dark burgundy in the dining room. And that's all they talk about. I love the rest of the house, but that dark burgundy dining room paint, I just don't like it. It's paint, everybody. You can paint it to any color you want. But in their mind, it's such a grand thing that stands out that it becomes an objection. Okay. And sometimes we have to remind them how minor things are. Now, bring your buyers to a decision. You know this lead funnel: leads, appointments, agreements, contracts to close. If they don't come to a decision, everybody, if they don't make an offer, then the next step doesn't happen. You don't get to the close. Okay. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some agents that sells a house knowing that that buyer, it may not be the best one for them. I know that my agents are not self-serving. I'm going to say that term. We are not self-serving agents. Is that correct? I want to hear everybody say yes. That is correct.
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 Okay. Meaning it's not about us getting a paycheck. It's not about us getting under contract that we just let them choose whatever. If they cannot answer the question that they can see themselves living here and loving this house, then you may need to really look at what is best for them. I know that this is our commission, is our paycheck every day. I know that, we're looking to obtain the money. Do not let that overshadow the best interests of that buyer. I just want to make that clear because that is happening. And what's happening though, is coming back onto the agent. Okay. Including with reviews. Now with social media and reviews and stuff, buyers can say whatever that you didn't even think. You might think that you had a great transaction, you did a great job, and a buyer may say something different. Okay. So what I'm saying is make sure that you don't want a contract so bad that you want them just to write on any house. It can't be that way. Your morals, your values, and your character has to precede anything that has to do with money at this point. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. So the decision-making process, we all talked about ranking it after each showing. If they want to ask them if they want to purchase the home or if they see themselves living in it. Making sure that they have those MLS sheets together and scoring it high, writing down the pros and cons or the must-haves and dislikes, whatever that you can for them to eliminate or to go through those homes. Okay. I'm going to show a video right now. Bring it up. Let me see if make sure it has value. Let me know if you can hear it though. Okay. Bruce.
I think you can go up to annotations and clear if you want to.
Okay. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear it?
Yeah. Well, no, I see it. I don't hear anything yet.
You don't hear it?
No.
I hear you, but I don't hear Sean Healy.
to be a lot of other buyers out there, and you may find yourself in a competitive situation. The third area that we set expectations on is condition. Many of the homes that they're going into are going to be move-in ready, but they need a little bit of work. The next step in the process we call the funnel. And essentially, we're trying to take the entire MLS and funnel it down so that at the end of the day, there can be only one house that kicks out the bottom. What I'd like you to do tonight, pick out the best 10 or 15 homes, and then tomorrow, drive by those homes and check them out. I want you to pick out the best 3 or 4, and we'll go out and take a look at those homes. Next part is the actual showing process. We show the first house. You'll ask the buyer on a scale of 1 to 7, leaving out the 4, 7 being perfect, and there is no perfect home, and 1 being unlivable, where would you rate this home? Inevitably, the buyer will answer it's a 5. And the reason they give you a 5 is because they don't have anything else to compare it to on the very first home that they've gone to see. Then what you want to do is try and reinforce what's making it a 5 for you. Then the next question you asked said, what are some of the things that you would do to move it more towards a 7 if you were to purchase it? You go on to the next house. Now you ask an alternative of choice question. Pretend you had to buy one of these 2 houses today. Which one would it be? The last one we saw or this one? They liked the first one better. Perfect. Go to the third house. The third house, you do the same thing. You say, all right, Gary, pretend there's only 2 homes on the market and you have to buy one today. Which one is it? The first one we saw or this one? And they say, this one. And you repeat that process over and over until you get to the last house. At the end of the day, you say, well, it looks like 123 Main Street was your favorite house. So right there from the house, we call the listing agent, find out if the home is still available. Let's go back to the office and get this property written up before somebody else gets it. My biggest aha out of this came when I was out with one of my first-time buyer families, and we drove up to the first house, and my buyer said, I don't even want to go in that one. What he ended up telling me at the end of that trip was, Sean, what I want you to do is print me out a list of every home that matches my criteria. I'm going to drive by those homes, and I'll tell you which ones I want to see. Aha! Hey, thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
All right. Can y'all hear me again? Just make sure you can get back to me. So the one thing that I wanted to point out in there that is very helpful is if you, sometimes before my showings, I always give the buyer freedom to drive by the houses, okay? I don't know how many times that I was in the middle of showing, we go to a house, they get there, and it's on like a busy street, or they don't like the driveway, and we don't even get inside. Like literally, it's like, oh, I don't like it. Let's go on to the next one. Just from the outside. So I always tell my buyers, hey, we have this on Thursday. If you have a chance, drive by them. You have the freedom to drive by and look and see, make sure, the location's good for you, because that also eliminates a lot of time if they don't even like the outside, or if it's on a busy street and they have kids, whatever their preference is. But I have buyers right now that calls me and it's like, Trey, yeah, let's take this off the list because we drove by and we didn't like it. Okay. It really takes time. So again, it's not required, but I always suggest it. And a lot of times they do it. They're like, oh, that's a great point. We're going to drive by it, tomorrow or later today. And it does wonders of eliminating properties just from the outside. Okay.
Trey.
Now, yes, Maria.
Oh, I was just going to say, what ended up working in my favor when I got my buyers to want to put in an offer and sign a contract for new construction is when we were touring homes all day that were in their price range, 4-bedroom, 2-bath in their school district. We went to 2 homes that were not new builds first, and they saw the influx of all these people coming in and out, with the inventory being low. There were people at the showing right before we got there. There were people lined up to come in when we were leaving, but they walked around and they did not see a very updated house. And so the minute we went to the new construction appointment, they walked around and they went, that's it, we're gonna sign. And then I was like, oh no, you're gonna have buyer's remorse. You know, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? But because they had just seen those other two homes first, it actually ended up working in my favor that they saw something they didn't like first.
Correct. Because they will compare. They're going to compare what they see to the next one. And sometimes, in fact, there's times where I have 3 homes scheduled and they fall in love with the first one. Like it has everything. I love it. I love it. And I says, okay, do you still want to go see these 2? And like, yeah, we'll just go see it just to see, you know. So I get that sometimes where they fall in love with the first one. They want the first one. And then I've had other buyers like, nah, I want this one. We don't need to go see the other ones, you know. So again, they will compare, and once they see what they love, they know it. Just kind of like you'll know it. So what happens though if they don't make any offers? You go show them houses that day and they don't make any offers. They don't like any of them. What's the next step?
You need to sit down and talk with them about their needs and wants, and maybe kind of tweak your search stuff you're doing for them.
Correct. And you also want to set the next expectation step of, okay, let's get back out there and find, you know, see some other homes. You know, sometimes what happens is that when a buyer looks at like 3 or 4 or 5 houses that day and they don't like anything, in their mind, they're like, oh, I can't find anything I like, right? And if you let that linger for a while without getting them back out there as quick as possible to look, then you'll see the buyer's remorse, then you'll see the doubt, and then they're like, you know what, I think we're going to wait. You know how you're going to hear this. If you haven't heard this yet, you're going to hear this line. Hey, Maureen, we've been thinking about it. I think we're going to wait and hold off on our buying process right now. So if you haven't heard it yet, you will. Okay. And that's because they haven't seen anything yet. They think there's nothing out there. And so I'm always like, hey, you know, I know if you haven't seen, you didn't like anything today, and I think maybe next Thursday, let me see if I can set some other properties for you to see next week so we can see more homes. And they're like, okay, good, because you're giving them hope that there's something out there. But if you just let it be and they didn't like anything, they don't want to make an offer, and you just let them, okay, it was good, bye, I'll talk to you later, I'll check up on you, then that's where that sinks in their mind.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes they need to see that they might need to increase their budget to get what they want. Because sometimes even if they're pre-approved for a certain amount, they say, yeah, but we don't want to go to that. And they're trying to keep it under a certain amount, but then they're not liking anything they see in that amount. And then they're seeing that even just a $30,000 price increase is very small in terms of your monthly payment with interest rates right now. And if they could get everything they wanted, if they bumped it up just a little bit more, sometimes seeing those homes in a little bit higher price range, they realize, oh, you know what, there is stuff out there that we want. We just have to up our price.
And that's great, Maureen. And that is a conversation of resource to be for them. Because remember, the first thing I said was buyers don't know what they don't know. That's why we're there. And if you explain that to them, they're like, oh, you know what, you're right. There's the option. But at the time, they don't see it. They just see what they see and know what they know. And that's us to give them the other options or what can make this a better process. And that's a great conversation to have sometimes with them. You know, we get that a lot. People have a budget in mind and they think they can find that perfect house in that little budget. I mean, we all want that. I wish I could find my perfect house within $200,000, don't you? What if you could find a $600,000 house perfect for you and for $200,000? Would you want that? Anybody? We will always be like, yes, that's our ideal, right? But that's not how the reality is. That's not what the market is.
Can I ask something based off of that? So I'm kind of going through that right now with an offer my clients were wanting on a house, and the offer like was not accepted. They wanted us to come back with a different price or whatnot. And my clients, like I'm right now I'm like trying to write a like Word document with the layout of if they even bumped up their price a little bit, like it's not that much of a difference every month by even going up a little bit. Do you think that helps by laying that all out on a document for them to see? Or I guess, what do you do in that situation?
Yes, as long as you confirm that with the lender, though, if you're putting numbers down, okay? I always check with their lender and say, hey, what would be their payment or difference if they're at this price range?
Okay.
Okay. So when it comes to numbers and financials, I always get the lender to give that information so I can present it to them instead of me doing it.
So don't
If
trust
it,
the Google mortgage calculator?
no, because they have their own specific based on their criteria and everything. And you don't want to give them amount and then find out it's higher what they're really getting, because then it comes
Gotcha,
back on
that
you.
makes sense. I'm glad I asked that.
So ask the lender, say, hey, if they bump it up to this, what's the difference, lender? And he'll tell you right away. That's easy for him to calculate. Oh, it's only like $13 a month.
Okay.
I do it all the time. I do it all the time. If we're up to a point and we can't see the houses, I always ask the lender. I says, hey, if they go up by $10,000, what would be the difference? And whatever he tells me, I tell them.
Okay.
And boom, and they're like, oh, okay, that's not bad. That's great. But if I tell them 13 and then it comes back, they're paying 50, guess who it comes back on?
Me.
Me.
Well, you in that case, yeah.
Well, you, me, the agent.
Yeah.
Okay. So great. I'm glad you asked that question. I want you to ask your lender. Don't do it yourself. Okay. All right. So here's more objection scripts. There's a lot of objection scripts because it's going to come up. You know, I love the what if the price drops? What if, well, we don't see it in the market, but before the buyer wants to wait. I don't want to make an offer yet because what if they don't get anything and they lower the price? Trey, let's just wait. I think they're going to decrease the price. It's been on market for a little bit. The what if? What if I miss out on a better deal question? I love the what if something better comes on the market, Trey. I love this house. It's a great price, but what if another perfect house comes on at a better deal? I love the what if questions. Or what if, Trey, just think about this, Trey. What if the seller would drop their price by $30,000? I love the what if questions. You're going to get the what if questions. Be ready to handle those what if questions, okay? I talked about this. We want to sleep on it. I still always ask them, is there any additional questions or concern that I can answer for you to help you make that decision? Okay? Because sleep on it means I want to think about it more. If they can't make a decision, if they can't tell you I want to live here or I want to make an offer, that means that there's still things that it's not answered for them to make that decision. So I always, again, ask that question, you know, is there anything else specifically holding you back? Is there any other questions that I can answer for you? What is your hesitation on this house? Because again, we're there to guide them and be the resource for them to make the best decision. Some buyers cannot make the best decision on their own. Sometimes their buyers are like children. You let them go and say, okay, you just go and figure it out on your own. And it's not going to come that quick and it may not come the right way. But that's why we have to hold their hand and help them through the process. Okay. So more scripts for you to go through. All right. So they've seen homes. They've done it. Regroup, rethink. So if you have shown more than average number of homes and your buyers have not made an offer, it's time to go back to the drawing board. Meaning, if you've taken them out several times, they've seen 10 houses and they still haven't made an offer, you need to sit down and let's come to some reality discussions and get back to their criteria. And maybe there's things that they need to compromise, okay? because maybe that magical, perfect, ideal home doesn't exist. It might not exist in their budget, or it might not exist on the market. And so there's got to be some compromises. I say sometimes buying a home is like, getting into a marriage. Your husband and your spouse might not be perfect, but there's got to be some compromises. Yes, he may leave the toilet seat up. You're right. He needs to compromise on this. So there may be compromises, and you have to sit down with your buyers and talk about the price point they're looking, talk about their expectations, the area, talk about their dislikes and must-haves. Is there compromise on your must-haves? Because I'm gonna be honest, there's a rare few people, unless they're building a house, that finds the perfect house that has everything perfect in it. Okay? There's always gonna have to be a compromise. Yes, the kitchen is small, and we also love that it's still off of the family room and it's open floor plan. You know, yes, there's not a big closet space, but my husband can use the closet in the guest bedroom for his closet, and I can have the whole closet for me. Happens all the time. We get kicked out of the closet. So what I'm saying is, you got to sit down and have those adjustments of their expectations and of the property. And sometimes, again, we're looking for something. If you know you're looking for something that's on the market, are you doing justice for that buyer? Let me ask that question.
No, unless you can make a unicorn.
Again, that's right. I guess you can make unicorn. If anybody can find me a house on Lake Minnetonka with a lake view for $400,000, then you just did a unicorn. Okay.
That's my house.
Daniel,
But
that's
I'm
your
not
house?
on the lake. I'm not on the lake. My neighbor's behind me, and then there's a lake, but I have a lake view. So
I'm saying like right on the lake, Lake Minnetonka, right on the lake, water views, big home, find it for $400,000, and you got me as a buyer.
Don't forget, you need a dock for your boat.
I got that
Oh,
too,
that's true.
but I got an easement.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Oh,
All
hey,
thanks,
Bruce,
all
we know
thanks
where we
Ryan
can,
Cole.
Yeah.
we know where we can, park our boat at.
I gotta winterize mine.
House.
Well, I don't have a boat, so if any of you have a boat, I need a friend that actually has a boat.
All right.
I might have to talk. So we might have to compromise here, Danielle. You got to.
All right, we'll talk later about it.
Yeah. All right. So your turn, buyer objections. We can't practice this right now because you're not in room to practice the buyer scripts and everything. And if you have an agent that you're talking to, or a spouse or friend, I want you to practice buyer objections. I want you to treat them like a buyer and show them a house on MLS and ask them what they love about it and what they don't love about it. Okay, I want you to practice this because you're going to get on the spot at a showing and they're going to say something. I want you to be prepared, especially for objections. Okay, this is very important for me. This is why I became a successful agent in my business, is because the customer experience is everything, not just customer service. There's a difference between service and experience. If you can write this down or keep this in your mind, I want you to keep this in your mind. The agents that has the most successful businesses, the agents that are out there, making a lot of money, have referral business, meaning people call them. They don't have to call the other people. It's not because of just service, it's because of the experience. Okay. Your buyers are going through experience with you. It's not just about showing homes or finding them a home. It is an experience. The way that they go through it with you is their experience. You know how many people I've hear from buyers saying, "Oh, didn't have a great experience with my agent. I wouldn't use that agent again." Or it didn't work out the way that I wanted to. That's what they remember of working with an agent, everybody. It's not how much they got the house for. It's not how fast. It's not that they got to the closing table. They think about what the agent is the experience. Okay. That's what's important for a buyer, is their experience with you. So make sure that you are focused on communicating, being responsive. If you're not responsive, if a buyer reaches out to you and it takes you 2 days to respond back or answer their question, that is their experience with you. I'm gonna be honest. If they prefer, and I always ask buyers, what do you prefer better? Text, calls, what is it? What's your preference? Because I could be calling them and they don't answer, and they preference is text message, and they can look and say, you never contacted me. I says, well, I did. I called. And you get, well, you didn't text message me. And they'll think I didn't reach out to them. So the communication is very important. Even if you don't see a house or nothing sent out to them, I still will check on them and check in and say, hey, let you know, I'm still looking for homes for you. Do you have any other questions? Because that is their experience. You're going to be spending a lot of times with buyers, and you have to make sure that their experience with you is very, very important, because that is the feedback that you'll get to build more of your business. So do you want the buyer to be a one transaction, or do you want them to send you additional business because they had a great experience about you and they want to share it with their friends? There's a difference, okay? So this is funny. I want to look at the items to take, because if you look at number 2, it says map. Take your map book, make sure that you have your map, okay?
It needs to be changed to mask now, right?
Mask, or make sure you have your GPS on your phone. So as you can see, this is kind of outdated on this information, okay? There's things I do carry. Now I do carry a Lysol spray after my experience with that situation. I do, because of COVID, carry extra mask, okay, hand sanitizer. I'm gonna tell you, I carry a flashlight. I've walked in a property that was vacant, especially back when it was short sales and foreclosures, that didn't have any power. Okay, and we're trying to walk through a house in the dark or go in the basement at nighttime, in the dark. So I carry a flashlight. Make sure you have your umbrella. If in case it rains or snow, maybe Minnesota, I've learned this about Minnesotan agents. During the wintertime, have a shovel. I don't know how many showings I did last year that we couldn't get in the driveway, and my buyer actually fell trying to get up the sidewalk in the snow and fell over. Yes. And you're right. The listing agent should have it shoveled, but sometimes after it snows right away, they can't get to it, right? And so now I've learned that during these times, I have a shovel in my trunk, because that's going to be the last time that my buyer falls in the snow on my showing. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah, you just said it's the listing agent's responsibility, isn't it? The clients who listed?
Well, the clients on their side, but again, what I'm saying is that side's responsibility, but doesn't mean that they can get to it right away. Okay. So it's either you can walk through snow with your clients hoping that they don't slip and fall, or I felt good when I pulled out that shovel and I was like, shh, 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 because guess what? Experience, right? They're going to talk about the agent that pulled out a shovel out their trunk and started shoveling the sidewalk so they can get to the house. We talked about experience, right? See, a lot of y'all would hire me, wouldn't you? All right. Paper goods. I don't, but especially like vacant places stuff, you can have a toilet. You really don't want them using the bathroom in the homes, okay? But again, sometimes emergency happens. I know sometimes when I work in open houses, I'm like, okay, I've been here 2-3 hours. I got to use the bathroom, So make sure again that you have printouts, or you could send them the list of the listing paperwork for the house, or information on the house, or list reports for the house. Okay. I've seen where buyers, in fact, when I moved here and I was being shown homes here, I was going showings and the buyer's agent didn't give me anything. He didn't give me no information on the property. He was actually hoping that the information was in the house as a brochure. you know, and then when I asked him about it, he had to go pull up MLS and look for it. That was not a good experience, everybody. Okay. Make sure that you're a resource for them with information on the property and the community as well. All right. So now your turn. Mock show a home. So here is your activity. You can't do it right now. And I want you still to do it as a homework. I want you to go preview a home, and either you can use someone to show it to, spouse, friend, another agent, or you can be the buyer for yourself. Okay. But this is where I want you to go and pretend that you have a buyer with you and you are showing a home. Again, we don't want to be like what Maureen went through. And I'm glad you took your husband, because just imagine, Maureen, if that was a buyer and you're trying to open a lockbox and can't get it open and everything. And so I want you to do this as a homework. I want you to look up a home, find a home that hopefully is, more so vacant, put for preview. And I want you to go and either show it to someone. It's better too, because now you're talking to them, having that conversation about the home. So they'll tell you what they like, what they don't like. So if you can, use an agent, a friend, a spouse, someone. If you don't have anyone, then go yourself, and go as not as an agent, but as a buyer, meaning you're looking around saying what you don't like. You're thinking of objections. You're thinking of what you do like. I want you to go in as the mindset of a buyer. Okay. Does everybody understand that? This is your homework assignment.
Yep.
Okay. And as you can see, there's snow on the ground. Everybody see that, right?
Mhm.
So one of the etiquettes during the wintertime is, even if there is not a sign saying to remove your shoes, please have everybody remove their shoes. Because again, I don't want anybody to get a call and they're saying you just marched mud and snow into the house. Okay. So just make sure that, everybody's removing their shoes and not dripping snow and everything through the house. Okay. So the other thing too, and I'm gonna go through this because we're gonna do this as homework, not right now. I want everybody to prepare for their next class. The next class will be with Tam. And Tam is such an excellent instructor, and she's really gonna get you all fired up for the next course. And by the next class, though, I want to either that you've done your homework or you've scheduled to do your homework. That means to do your buyer showing homework, your mock showing, okay? So either you have it scheduled already or you have already done it. Does everybody understand that?
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Because I will be checking after the class to see who had their homework for their mock showing. And I know that right now it's just not snowing right now, so you can go today, tomorrow, or have it scheduled already for the weekend. It's very important that you practice. We always talk about practicing listing presentations, practicing buyer consultation. Well, you should also be practicing showings. Unless you have a lot of buyers right now that you're going out and doing showings with, then that's a practice. So, I'm gonna include that too. If you already have a showing lined up, I don't know, Danielle or somebody, and you're already going to show somebody, that counts as the homework too. Okay. Just don't practice on them saying, give me some objections, throw them at me. Don't do that with them. Okay. All right. Any questions? Maureen, Danielle, Bruce?
I'm good. Thank you.
No.
All right. Danielle? I don't know if she's still there. Maureen?
No questions.
All right. Well, we have in 9 minutes the team meeting. And thank you for attending, and I hope this was valuable. And let's get out there and practice so that we can give a buyer the great experience. Everybody understands? Experience, say experience.
Experience.
There you go. Bruce, experience.
Experience, yeah.
All right. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
You too.
All
Thanks, Trey.
Bye.